Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone to our weekly discussion of yesterday's service. I just need one. Okay, yeah, I was just waiting to have YouTube pop up so I can see the comments. Perfect. I've given up on trying to find a word to describe the services. I've tried for the last couple of weeks, but I've reached that point where I was just like there's no word to describe them. They just get better and better from week to week. And the one yesterday, at least for me personally, definitely brought up a lot of things, a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings to work through. Yeah, the core of it was the story from the Bible, the prodigal son, which I'm sure a lot of people probably knew before, have at least encountered in some way or another. I've had to read that, like we in my personal life, like I read that when I was at school, and we discussed that at length in like my religion lessons back then. But yeah, no one was really able to provide me a clear understanding of what exactly that story is actually talking about. And as I'm sure everyone feels or agrees with me, like Jeff and Shia were definitely able to give us a very clear understanding of everything that actually that story contains and teaches us. And I think, yeah, what I actually really want to start off when it comes to the story, and what was the main thing that I have been dealing with since yesterday, is kind of just like feeling through a lot of layers of shame. And that's kind of, what they were talking about in that story, how the youngest son basically chose to not leave God and thought that something outside in the world is better than God. And then he just took all his money from God and just went off, squandered it all away, and actually ended up having a really shitty life, to put it in a nutshell. And then when he came back, he realized like, oh, actually, I want to go back to my father because he has everything I desire. And I really missed the mark, really did wrong, really squandered away his money and his treasure. And I want to atone. He came back feeling, well, I guess pretty like unworthy and pretty like, like, oh damn, I'm a bad person. I made a lot of shitty like choices here. And God welcomed him with open arms, and just welcomed him back into his home like nothing ever happened.
I'd
And
like to add
yes,
something to that.
totally. Go for it.
He was humble when he returned. He was humble about it, not necessarily that he was, having all this. Okay, he's feeling bad about. Okay, of course he felt like,
He
guilty about
worked.
it. But he worked. He healed the upset in order to be there, because
Mhm.
if he was coming back to the same upset, probably the father.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's what I wanted to say.
thank you for saying that. I felt when I said that, I was feeling like it didn't feel quite right. I was like waiting for you to like come in and be like, no, that's not quite it. But yeah, what I like literally meant, like when he realized like what choices he made, like he just like really saw like he made the wrong choices, and then he had to obviously work through all of his upsets and feel all of his feelings, which is what we all have to do, so he could come to that humble place and face God again.
And release his shame and
Mm-hmm.
like release the word unworthiness. And that's like what the story was about, really, is that as he released all of those choices, like God didn't hold any grudges against him and just celebrated his return.
And gave him all the best gifts for him, that he was like, why do you give me all of this? Kind of the vibe was from that. But he was just like, received the way he received himself there, being humble in front of God, and just, okay, God, I will do whatever you want. Like, I surrender to you. That was the feeling that I got from that story. And God just like takes you and say, okay, I'm gonna give you everything, because right now you chose to give me everything. You chose, because in that moment, in that story, it was that he was like, okay, I'm gonna tell my father that I did all of these things. This is what I did. Sorry, and I'm not worthy to be your son. I'm to be kind of like your slave. But in the same time, if you look beyond that, like what Jefferson has said as well, that he just like, okay, he surrendered everything to God. Okay, I'll just do everything for God. Seeing that when I tried myself to do everything, it wasn't really working for me. So the moment you just give everything to God, God will give you everything, give everything to you, and that's the vibe. That's the feeling that I got from it. So,
Yeah. And I really liked like when Jeff talked about how being humbled is the price you pay for entry into the heaven. So I really like that. It feels like I'm experiencing the same thing right now. Even my house. So if my father has problems with doing this work, it feels like it's that ego voice that's trying to pressure me and wants me to please it. But it's like I'm presented the choice that okay, you've chosen ego before, and you've chosen to please ego before, but do you choose God's voice this time? Do you choose to walk his path, no matter how scary it may seem in your physical reality? And it feels like that's what every single time each one of us, even in the community, have faced. People who have left also, you can see that people who have returned have had that humbling where you reach that point of okay, I see what I did wrong, and I see that okay, this is what I needed to do to choose God, and this is what it means to choose God. To even realize that, I feel like that itself is a really big miracle. I remember Shlia speaks about that it's a miracle that you choose God. Like the fact that you choose God itself is a miracle. So it feels good, feels so personal to me. Yeah.
Hmm. I experienced the same thing. Like the most humbling moments of my life happened like right before Harmonious Union, and so I felt like really like deeply resonated with the story. Like it like spoke to me directly too, and it's just about how like the story of the prodigal son is kind of like the story of everyone. You know, like we all made that choice at some point. Um, but yeah, I really liked how Shalia said that like if God has like to consider yourself very blessed when God has that much favor on your life to bring you back home, because it means you've truly been humbled and you've truly chosen God in all places. And I felt personally like a lot of like I felt proud of myself, like hearing the um hearing the sermon and just like hearing what they were saying, and it was just all so like it just really dawned on me how much God really does love us, and how you truly can't do anything like wrong. Like you can never be condemned or punished or and in fact like the thing you have to do is to release shame and release your guilt and release like the self-blame, and it's all good. So I really loved it. Like it was the perfect story.
yeah, and really God will just like not forget, but like he'll just erase that thing that you've done, that it wasn't necessarily the best thing, as Jeff and Shelia said there. And I really love this because this is what's happened when you fully heal and upset. Because actually to honor a relationship that you have, let's say someone bothers you, or like you have something, let's say, I don't know, giving an example, I don't know, me and Denisa to have an upset, the way we honor it, we heal that upset within ourselves, and no matter what we would do there, that will be forgiven because we healed it, so it doesn't matter anymore. But the moment when you still haven't healed that upset, that means you will keep doing that, and that's why you still like you still think about it. But on the other side, you have to see that only like when it is a boundary, yeah, it is something. But when you healed it, you healed it. But if someone keeps telling you that, even if you healed it, well, you have to see who tells you as well this. But if you really healed something and you generally really feel like, okay, I healed this, someone is keep telling you like, okay, you did this wrong like 12 years ago, you did this wrong 10 years ago, 5 years ago, like a lot of stuff. Well, I remember this from Course in Miracles. I think Alexandra, this that only ego would keep count of your issue or of all the things that you did wrong to it, and will keep bringing them back again and again. Will never let them go. That's only ego, because only ego will recognize those things as real, because love will never recognize it as real.
I had to think about that same thing when Jeff and Shadia spoke about how, when you return back to God, all you remember is love, and you basically forget all the pain, and that you ever were not with God. And what I've experienced many times when I, heal, let's say even, big kind of traumas that you really remember, when I start healing them, and it's kind of almost thinking back, it's all foggy, and in this days, I can't even picture it clearly anymore, or see it clearly anymore. It's kind of it was just I don't know, from another lifetime or so, and it's not even real. And that's I think, what you spoke about, you, Laurentius, that's when you really know you've healed something, because it's it feels like it was never real. And with these upsets, it's sometimes when I hear something and then I'm I want to explain to someone oh, I've just heard this big upset and it was this and that, and I don't even remember what the upset was anymore. I'm I don't remember what it was. It was something around I don't know, whatever it was, and let's move on. But every time, I've noticed when you still feel this desire to speak about something, you're upset or something that happened or a situation, or so, that's because there's something unresolved there. Because otherwise, what would be the point of bring that up all the time? So that's something that is good to be aware about yourself, why are you still talking about this and sharing this with other people?
And here make it clear if you share the healing of it, not the upset part of it. Because if you're healing if you're sharing the healing part of it, therefore you just share the healing, and it really shows that you really healed it. And I really remembered something that my soul sister Lydia did, and I feel to share that, is that a couple of days ago we were to meet in the morning for her, EST. For me it was later in the day, but before that morning for her, what happened in the night, her phone died. She said, okay, I'll just charge it. Nothing happened. She tried to press every button, nothing worked. It was okay, she was freaking out about it, didn't know exactly what's going to happen there. But what she did afterwards, she of course went, okay, let's heal this. Let's see, it's a spiritual block. And then she went on YouTube. And I really love how she described this experience that she had. She looked online and she found a woman that basically had the same issue as her. And she said, okay, I had this issue. I tried everything. I went to stores, things. But then Lydia was expressing, oh, and then she healed that upset because as she went through those stores, she was able to show everyone how to fix that. So as she went through that upset, instead of saying, okay, this is the upset and nothing there, she was like, okay, I had this upset. And look, this is what I've been shown to do. And I went to, I don't know how many stores to find this out. And okay, you have to press this and this. And then Lydia was like, okay, let's go. She tried and it worked. And that really made me feel very good, because I wasn't seeing this as she expressed it, because she expressed this person healed and shared the healing. So it's really about you can share that healing once you healed it, and you can help others, and that's how others can really benefit that and experience that love that you feel as well.
Absolutely. Well, we kind of took a detour into a lot of stuff here. Oh, Michaela, were you going to say something?
Well, kind of. I was thinking of, there's something coming up to be expressed here. It's about how, yeah, but when you do heal the upset, that's what the story really talked about. It's when you do heal the upset, even if you do have memories and you're not perfectly ascended yet and you'll be able to remember your life, you look back upon your life and it doesn't seem so like painful and dark, you know, like all of your choices, like you can see your choices as just things that led you back to God. And that's what I really liked about the story, is this guy made a bad choice and like squandered his fortune, and you know, experienced a lot of contrast, but he was truly like sincere in wanting to come back to God. And so God sees that and God knows that. And I loved how Shalia said, like, when you, like, God meets you more than halfway, when you're truly like choosing to like atone and you're choosing to change and like heal. And God, yeah, he meets you more than halfway. And I really loved that. And it was just really healing that they talked about, even if you're like a really evil person at the core, like you choose evil, you know, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, like it doesn't even matter. Like you can still choose love and God will never condemn you or abandon you. And so it was just like, they just talked about how it's just like, there's nothing to forgive because you really can't hurt God or do anything against God. So yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, I also especially like the part where she said, like, you know, what you said, like no matter how many lifetimes of wrongdoing you had, like the instant you make a new choice, you are welcomed home and you can return to God. And you've actually, like, you know, never left. It's just this illusion of like basically being stuck in this, like I did something wrong and therefore I feel shame, which actually also said, and you know, was brought up in, I think, the sermon 2 weeks ago exactly, how like shame was actually the first or like the second feeling that arose when Adam and Eve chose separation. And it's like basically this like primal feeling that we like need to like heal in order to come back to God. But like, you know, like it's basically kind of like getting out of this like, you know, circle where you keep yourself stuck in shame because of what you did wrong and don't forgive yourself. So and therefore you do not see that you already are with God and God has already loved you the entire time and already forgave you for everything you did even before you did it, basically.
Yeah, it just basically like emphasizes how meaningless separation really is, like how it truly has no power. Yeah.
And how you truly are not evil at the core, even if you try to make yourself believe that.
Right.
You can never be. You are never born evil, therefore you are not evil.
Very true.
I loved also, you know, also what Shalia said that you should even like, you know, people who did what it looked like, you know, it looks like they did a lot of wrong. You should still look at them and see them as like perfect divine children of God and not look down on them. Or like cast them out of heaven, even like in your like mind.
Yeah, they said don't damn them in your mind. Yeah, because we're all one. So when you think about somebody else, you really think about yourself. And I really like that, how they it's just so much love. Like I was just like, there was just so only love there. Like there's no ego, like there's no fear, nothing at all. And it just felt really good to just receive the service yesterday and just like to see how much love really is there for us, like from God.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I would like to go a bit more onto what you just shared with don't damn in your mind someone, and that's something so powerful and maybe subtle that I cannot stress it enough, that it's really important for you to not deem anyone in your mind, not think like, oh, they're bad, cast them out of heaven in your mind. Do things like, okay, like burn them in your mind or whatever it is there, because that's how you basically treat yourself. And even if you look at someone else, oh, okay, this person has harmonious union, but don't like them, or this person is like this and I don't like them. Whatever you think there, whatever you're, because in that moment you just have an upset about that, and you just have to heal. And even if that person is just doing some crazy stuff, some things that are out of alignment, still it's good for you to not deem them in your mind. You can put a boundary that's different than deem them in your mind. So just wanted to share.
Yeah, I
it
really
kind of
like.
reminded me of.
You go, Rati.
Sorry. No, it just reminded me of the first sermon of commandments. So one of the commandments where she talks about how you don't think bad about anybody. It just reminded me of that. Yeah, that's all. Mm.
Yeah, I especially like this part what you just said, Laurency, that like how you look on other people and it's how you like how you treat other people, be it externally or just like in your mind, is how you really treat yourself. So like, you know, every time you look down on someone, you're looking down on yourself, and every time you cast someone out of heaven or doom them in your mind, you're really casting yourself out of heaven, or like comes from this like place inside of you where you don't feel worthy of being in heaven and you feel shame and feel like God is not accepting you. And yeah, you know, I think it's also important to just like really be honest if you feel that, because I mean, to be on, like, you know, for me to be honest, like I've been really working through that since yesterday, because all of these feelings came up where I realized like I have all this like shame, and I feel like I'm not allowed to come back in heaven, and I feel like I'm this outsider like standing on the borders and looking at everyone like celebrating in heaven. So like I'm happy that all of this is coming up, and it's like, you know, like easy to hear through it once you're aware of this. But this is basically, you know, what a lot of people are experiencing unconsciously. And so, you know, that's like what's it's like so wonderful that Jeff and Shia, you know, brought a story up in their sermon yesterday, and this is coming up in consciousness, so we can all hear this belief that we're not in heaven, and we don't deserve to be, and we're not worthy to be, and to really address any shame we might be feeling.
Yeah, even right now, what I'm experiencing at home, it feels like all of this is like Jeff's put it in a way where he said that it's your willingness to actually leave God, where it's somewhere deep down that's your there's a willingness to that choice, and it made me feel like that's exactly all these experiences I'm having with my parents about opposing God. It's has been within me before, where I have also done that before, and it kind of again it like all of this entire service is itself very humbling, and that again brings you back kind of to that humility that um yeah, like you're a child of God, and you have that divine light inside you too, and that's okay. Like you just got to choose that. And I loved when Shalia said that he's just wants his baby home, and I just melted when she said that. That was so sweet. There's so much love there. Yeah.
I love that part too, and I love the part about that she just said, like when she said mentioned the baby part too, how like we're God's highest treasure and his only treasure, and he only like wants us, and as he said, he wants his babies back. And actually I mentioned like this like funny thing of like a diamond being like, I think just a stone, I'm not a diamond, and everyone's like, wait, you're not just a stone, you're a diamond. Like it's, you know, like God created us worthy and valuable, and like his highest priority, like his highest treasure, and that's already been decided. There's nothing you can do to change that. And you know, I think like with like, you know, coming back to this like doing wrong things and feeling guilty and shame about that, it's like somewhat also it's kind of this like way where we try to prove that we're not worthy and not valuable, because we, you know, we're kind of testing the like boundaries. You know how it's like some children try to, you know, like do everything they can to like prove to themselves as they're not lovable. So you know, that's like also something where, yeah, it's like safe to let that go and just like realize like you are worthy and lovable and very, very valuable to God, no matter what you do. You can't change that, because that's how you were created to be. Moment of silence and integration.
Yeah, I just felt like really set free after the service. Like I realized that it's so like you can just really just let go of everything in your past, and you can just let go of the suffering and the separation, and you can really just make a new choice to be with God. And it's just like that simple. You don't ever have to like punish yourself.
Hmm. And I really like that. Looking at this, it's how you see the parent with the child, like the child coming back. The the parent always wanted to have a relationship with the child, but the child at some point went, no, I want to have other relationships, but not with you right now. And then when he comes back, okay, I desire this relationship with you. I see that this is the best thing for me. And seeing that God always desires that relationship with you and always receives you in that relationship and never abandons you in that relationship. That's really interesting because from the point before seeing like God is an entity and God is a person, so then God can have a personal relationship with you, and that's so. I know for me it feels very good.
And yeah, you know, something that I think, Michaela, did you bring up punishment? Was that you? That's the part I also really loved, how like, you know, punishment never serves you, and punishment does not bring you closer to God. And I had to think about something that someone from our community, Sage, posted the other day. And it was like, punishment is meant to hurt you, discipline is meant to make you feel good. And I like read that and I was like, wow, that's like so deep, and that's like so true. And I mean, speaking for myself, I know that sometimes when I was healing through some big blocks and I was like, I don't know, stuck in some self-hatred and judgment and whatnot, I would tend to go into this like punishing myself for having these upsets and all of that. And that was like, it was just like a big part of basically like harming myself and not really loving myself. But you know, once I let go of that, I really realized like how like punishment is like really, it's like, it doesn't serve you at all. It actually just like makes everything worse, because it's just like harming yourself or harming others. And God being only love, how could he want or desire to like harm one of his children that he loves perfectly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, like punishing yourself doesn't serve you or anyone. It just keeps you separate from God, and that's the only thing it does. So it's safe to let it go.
And I like here that when you think about the other brother that was there already with God working, and he saw the other brother coming, and even if he atoned the other brother, he was still mad at him, and kind of in that you could feel like, oh, he was like, you have to punish him for what he did because he just did wrong to you and did all of that. And here was coming the part with don't dim them in your mind, but really like you don't have to punish anyone, don't punish yourself. And when you are already there with God, there's no comparison between you and someone else and different child of God, because if you already have God there, why would you even feel, why would you need something else there? You already have everything is yours. So it's safe to not dishonor that by thinking, oh, someone has more God, or someone just healed something and now they just received everything, and I was here healing every day but I haven't received that yet what I want.
Yeah, it just really demonstrates how we're all one, and like somebody else receiving something like a miracle, it's you receiving the miracle because we are not separate from each other.
Yeah, and you know, like talking about this, I wrote down 2 quotes from like the story itself when you know, the son returns and the older son, who has been there all the time, like goes to his dad and is like, this is so unfair, like I've been doing all this work and like you've never given like organized a celebration for me and whatnot. And then like God or the father just like said like that, you have always been with me and all that is mine is yours. But this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now is found. and it's just like part of like, I don't know, just like this, like he was lost and now it's found. Like every time I hear that, it's just like this, like it feels just so good. And also the part where like, you know, he just like says like, you've just been with me the entire time. Everything I have is already yours. But this other person has been, you know, like we're celebrating because he was lost and now has been found, which is an enrichment for everyone because he's bringing joy with him. He's expanding heaven, and you are in heaven, and his joy is your joy. So beautiful.
Yeah. And you divinely inherit your inheritance from God, and it's already yours. It feels good that it's already there available for you, no matter what you've chosen before. I love when Shalia said, even if you've done continuous evil actions, and it takes just one choice of God to get him back home. It's not like sometimes people feel like, oh, I have spent 30 years doing this bad thing, and it's going to take me another 30 years to atone, but it only takes one choice. That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't, like God, you can't fake like your sincerity, and you can't fake your healing. And so I think like one of the reasons a lot of people were upset about this story, like in the past, is because they feel like maybe the son was getting rewarded or something for choosing separation. But really, it's that God knows your heart and knows when you're sincere, and you have to like sincerely heal in order to come back to heaven. And so it's just like a celebration that one child made a new choice and like saw the light and sees the truth, and rejected separation. And like, because you can't, like Jeff and Shalia have said often, you can't cheat your way into heaven. So when God blesses you, it's because you've really genuinely chosen heaven and chosen God in your heart.
And I really like about this that even if he chose separation at the beginning, he chose love afterwards. So as you said, from what you experienced with people, like being upset about the story, why that person was rewarded when he chose separation? Well, he wasn't rewarded for that. He was rewarded for choosing love.
Exactly.
But it's just seen like this because that was the first thing that he did. But that doesn't mean that's the reality now.
Right.
Yeah, as Jeff and Shaw always say, only the present moment exists. So only the choice you make right now exists, and everything else that happened in the past with time not even being real, just let it go.
Right. Like Laurentiu said in the beginning, only ego keeps score of like past wrongdoings. And so, so love doesn't do that. So as soon as you genuinely like vibrate into that space of love, like love is there for you. Love isn't going to hold anything against you.
Yeah, and I think at one point, like Shalia also said like this, like God is like right there waiting for you to come back. And he was right there all the time. He like never wandered off into like the woods while you were wandering lost in separation land. Like God was right there the entire time, and he never wanted you to be separate from him. He just like waited for you to return to him and make that choice. And yeah, he can't make that choice for you because he loved us so much that he gave us free will. And yeah, I remember, I think it might be from Jeff and She, I think it actually is. I don't exactly remember where exactly. It might be from somewhere else, but which is not a point. But that I read somewhere that like God is not even like pushing you to like love him. He's just like, lovingly guiding you and showing you the way and all of that, but he's not pushing you in any way, because your love has to really come from your free will. It really has to be your choice all the way, really coming from the depth of your heart and from like, really in a very sincere way, because otherwise it's just like kind of what you, Michaela, mentioned, like faking it or like just like pretending.
Right.
Um,
Or like
Mm.
just wanting God for his blessings. Like they talked about that in the last sermon, where like you have to want a relationship with God first, not because of like what God gives you, but because you just want to love God. And so when you reach that point, then like in the story, God is there because he knows.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Mm. And I want to continue a bit from what Denisa said about really God wants you back, and like I remember they said like once you pass your test,
Mm.
God will reveal to you. God is going to reveal itself to you. So passing your test is just healing the upset, and that's all that you have to do. And then the action is going to come naturally. What to take. So yeah, just pass your tests. It's safe to accept your lessons.
Yeah. And it's not hard. You just have to love yourself and that's it. And just do the
Well,
spirit.
like I know that it's not hard, but you know we have to be honest. Sometimes it may look very difficult because we are in all of these things. We have to show that even if it is a spiritual process, but we have to see it for what it is. And at times you may feel like you cannot love yourself, and it's safe to acknowledge that doesn't mean it's something wrong with you. Just means that you have to keep going and keep going deeper.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes it really is damn challenging. Like, let's all be honest. But that's like, like every time when you go through one of those really challenging times, you like get out on the other end so much stronger than before. And you like, like your challenges do like increase in intensity and everything, but like you don't perceive them necessarily as more challenging, because I mean maybe like in a way, but it's also because like you grow in strength and faith and just like mastering your inner work, you're just like able to hear through more and hear through even deeper blocks and all of that. But it's like funny because like in my experience it gets like it gets like more intense and challenging this time, but it also gets easier in time. I think because like partly because you get more mastered and you just get used to the process and everything, and you get closer to God, and the closer you are to God, the easier it is and the more surrendered you are and all of that. So it's kind of this, I think you also start feeling better and better the further along on your journey you are. So I think because you start feeling better and you are closer to God, you're like able to go through like bigger challenges, and they don't really feel like as challenging anymore, even though they are bigger, which is kind of a controversy in itself. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think like I hope my point came across.
Well, that's what I meant by like it's easy, is like all you have to do is just remember to just choose love even when it seems really hard. And so it's like easy because there's not like any secret trick you have to do, but also like it can be very challenging to go through your deepest, darkest fears. Lauren, you thumbs up to me. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, Rivati, what were you going to say?
Oh no, nothing.
Well, you still said something. You said nothing.
I had a thought. Now it just like left me.
You're welcome. Good. So yeah, it's really amazing, even going deeper with what else happened in the service about the song. Like I really enjoyed the song a lot. Like oh my god.
Yes, the song was so good. I was listening to Daniel and Deanna like record it because they were part of it, and it was so fun. Like they were just having a blast, and so it was really awesome to hear it like in the actual song. And then after the service, I came upstairs and I was like listening to it, and then I went out and Daniel was listening to it, and then I went downstairs and Deanna was listening to it. And so we all just like came downstairs and listened to it together, and it was nice. But it was it was really beautiful.
It was
so supportive. Yeah.
Very nice. Yes. And this is the work of Jeff and Shelia healing even more, bringing even more love there. Just love that so much.
Yeah.
And I know, does one of you have the poem that
Oh no, I did not write that down.
it was so beautiful.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I don't, like, yeah, I can't share anything more about that. It was just like very, yeah, just like really revealing of your true relationship with God and how much He loves you and how much you love God. Oh, and this something, oh my God, okay, this just like came up. Something as they said in the service, which was so incredibly beautiful, is how you are meant to create more like treasure in your life and expand God's treasure. And when you love your creations love you back. And I just found that that's like so beautiful and it's like so true. Like even, like with something as simple as like, like let's say I put, which okay, it's like a true thing. I put a lot of love into my apartment and taking care of it and decorating it in a way I love it and making it supportive for me. And it loves me back so much. It's like I'm loved by my apartment, which is really cool. And I guess the thing with like everything that's, for example, like I'm sure like everyone here can relate to like, being an ascension coach and having your business and really investing in your business and loving your business and your clients and everything that like loves you back so much in so many ways. Not even like, money is obviously one of them, but also just like relationships and just like in so many ways. So yeah, it's really this like, isn't that
Yeah.
like beautiful that creation is designed to be this circle of like never ending, always growing love. It's like the more you love something, the more love it gives you back, and the more you can love it, and the more love it gives you back, and on and on. It just increases in love eternally. Please go, Rivati.
Yeah. It feels safe. It feels safe. Um, and I just read Daniel's comment during the service, and he was saying about he loves his art and his art loves him back. And when I read that, it felt so good. It felt so um, that no matter what level of creation you do create, it's still safe and it still loves you back anyways. So it made me feel like if a small child draws a circle, like just a line drawn, and that's enough. That line, even that little small circle that you created, will love you back. Mm. It reminded me of something I learned in college in design school, where my professor would say, be proud of even a small line that you've drawn. So just that you created that. So be proud of it and be happy that that's yours. Um, Made me feel good.
that's very nice. That's very beautiful, actually. Like, oh my God, that's really seeing the world in a much better way with everything, not just with the lines, but whatever you do, be proud of that. What you created.
Mm.
Every time you cook yourself food, that food is loving you
Mm.
back. Isn't that beautiful?
That's really nice. Yeah.
Mm.
I am going to consult my notes to see if we have anything else.
Well, I want to say that I know you wanted to share something about Revati's meditation, about the arrow.
Oh, you're talking to me right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I really I really liked the image and like there's just like energy behind like using like an arrow like symbolically. I think it just had something very like driven and forward moving. So like, just like tuning into that. And that's what that's like even, when what we talked before when it comes, like with inner work, sometimes being challenging and whatnot. But it's like really about just like, always taking the next step in front of you, like always just like keeping that like forward momentum and just like doing what's in front of you and taking one step after the other. So it's all about just like like to just like keep going and keep moving forward no matter what, and don't let anything like stop you or stand in your way, but just like hear through everything. And that's like something like you mentioned in relation to like life purpose. And I feel that's like, that's when like your life purpose feels really good, when it has this like forward moving energy and it's expanding and it's like moving and like dynamic and everything. And I feel like that really, and it's like, like it has like a purpose and it's directed towards something. And I feel like, like how you use like this image of an arrow, that just like tuning into that just like felt really good, to just like have this as the underlying energy in your life, to just like choose to have this like to be that energy of the arrow and shoot towards your goal. And cut through the air with power and speed.
I really liked in the meditation, it was really perfect. And I liked how Revati said, work is worship, like working for God and serving God is your worship. And I feel like that actually really ties into the story, because like this story for me made me feel really grateful for God, and like just to be able to really see how loved we are by God. And so it's like you want to serve God when like you understand God, when you understand how much that he loves you. And so like working on your life purpose is worshiping God. And so you can worship God everywhere, and not just like in church or when you're doing spiritual work, but in like every moment of your life.
I love that. And talking about service, like one thing that also just like saw in my notes is that like Shelia also shared that you like said that your wealth dries out when you don't serve God and you don't recognize him as your source. And that what happened to like the son who obviously took his heritage and then like went away and squandered it all away, and then like he basically disconnected himself from his source. And then like once his money was gone, his fortune, his wealth, like because he wasn't connected to his source anymore, he was just like left with nothing. And like the moment he went back to God, like everything was there for him and is continuously being provided for him. So yeah, that's like, I the last couple of days I have this like, it's called the Starseed Oracle card deck. And every time I pulling a card, I get the same card. It's been like happening for a week now. And the card is make your life a moving prayer. So basically making your entire life a prayer to God, and just like this, like letting your life be this like constant devotion to God. And I find that like, the card pops up every day. So I'm definitely working on that and really going deeper there. But that's like such, like such a beautiful thing to just like, like really realize that like you live to like honor God, and you live for God and with God. And the purpose of your being is to be with God. And that's why God created you, because he wants to be with you.
This really reminds me of Toronto, of Jeff saying about the breathing meditation. That whatever you do, you always meditate. You never exceed the state of meditation. You're not just meditating when you're like closing your eyes and just sitting and focusing inward. You're meditating always having that meditation up. Not just in some moments, not just like 23 hours of the day, but always.
And like, because like to meditate, what it like, for me at least, meditation really means like connecting with God inside of you. And that's like, what you shouldn't be doing just when you like, 20 minutes a day when you meditate, which is a good, if that's where you are right now and how you're starting a relationship with God, like wonderful. But the goal is to get to a place where you connecting with God and you are with God in that internal place within you, like every second of your eternal existence. Revati, did you have anything to say?
Just it felt good about it. It reminded me of Kriya Yoga. It just that's what it stands for, that it's God in your daily life. That's what it reminded me of. Okay. Even about the arrow, Shelia mentioned the Bhagavad Gita, and I just remembered now that Arjuna is presented with a choice of choosing Krishna as his army or Krishna's army itself. So there are like two choices. Do you choose the one, like just one person, that's Krishna, or do you choose his entire army? And Arjun chooses only Krishna, and the opposite, Kauravas, the battle against whom the battle is happening, they choose his army. So it looks like that there's so much strength in the opposition. Like it looks like it's an entire army that's against you, and it looks really scary. It looks like you're going to lose. And you have this one person with you. And that was Krishna, who was with Arjun. Oh, and he won because that was God with him. And just the fact that he chose God in that moment, he was guided perfectly. And Arjuna is the expert in archery, you know. So he's the one with bow and arrow, and he's very good with that. It just reminded me of that. It was so perfect with everything this whole service was about, that it's safe. It's so safe to be with God, even if it looks like the opposition looks very massive.
There's this beautiful quote, I think it's from the Bible, if God is for you, who could be against you?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's very relevant. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
One last thing that I just came up for me was I remembered from the sermon is the part where Shalia shared how God is unlimited. So even if you squandered away his worth and all of that, like God actually did not lose anything, because he only squandered away like he lost nothing. He lost nothing, and you're squandering it away. It's only you who lost something. Which I think it's it's like really bringing home the point that there's nothing you can do to like harm God, or do take from God, or diminish love or heaven in any way.
Amen.
So beautiful.
I feel like we're all just like in this Zen mode right now.
I know. Hearing Ravati's the story about Krishna just was like really nice, because it's true. Like it doesn't matter what you have if you don't have God, you don't have anything. Even if it looks like it's really powerful, it's not. Laurentiu, what were you gonna say?
You have to say something.
Oh no. No, it just feels good. I just feel like I know. I just felt a lot of love from Revati's story, and I was just taking it in, and just felt very good. And just knowing that choosing God is enough, and you don't have to try to figure out how things will follow after you chose God. You just choose God, and God is going to provide everything. And yeah, even going forward with that, with the reading that I did the first time that I appeared as well, it's yeah, really about this relationship with God, that you just stay with God and don't worry about anything else than that. Just allow yourself to enjoy that. God desires you as much as you desire Him, and that's the only thing that matters here. It's exactly what Jeffrey Shea said in the sermon, and I know I just love how connected everything was with the sermon that Jeffrey Shea did, because like all of this was filmed in a different time probably, so I couldn't have known what Jeffrey Shea were going for. And as the ringing, I feel like it really, like when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, okay, is it gonna come, with the sermon? And when I saw, oh, it's actually like so perfect reading into that. So I know, I just love that. Experiencing that myself is like, oh, God was there, present all the time. He makes the service. So,
Isn't God perfect?
yes.
Well, any last words? I think they're going to be coming from Michaela. Go for it, Michaela.
Oh, I was just gonna say I didn't actually know that you didn't know what the sermon was about before you filmed the cards because it was just so perfect.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, God is
Yeah, I
definitely.
feel nobody knows about the sermon, like all the people who are part of it, when all of us come together and it's pieced in together, it just works each and every time, every week.
Mhm.
So perfect.
Yeah. The only person that I know knows it's Lizzie, and she said that. She said that she's watching it before going through this, so she's the
Mhm.
only one who knows about it before it's going.
Well, God knows.
Yes, God knows.
Yes.
Actually, yes, God knows. God,
God knows.
you're so right.
How did we not think about that before?
Yeah, it feels good.
Feels good. That feels like a very good closing realization. God knows. Well, with that, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Michaela, Vivati, and Davinci for sharing your wisdom and your insights and being here. And I'm looking forward to next week. We'll be here again, same time, talking about next week's, this week's service. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye. Thank you.